weekend, hopefully.
Yeah, Regan's available for this weekend, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You start him,
Probably. Probably, yeah.
So it's safe to lose a fond farewell to
yes.
one of the great Scarlets, I suppose.
Yeah, I hope it's not his last game as a Scarlet, but certainly probably his last home game.
Yeah.
That's because the playoffs have kind of prolonged the season now, haven't they? They've had that effect where, I guess a few seasons ago, it seems to be ended now, but it just prolongs things a little bit more for everyone.
It's great, it's everything to play for. A little bit frustrating when we look back at some of the what-ifs, but we've only got ourselves to blame there. But I think we've performed well all season. We just haven't got a couple of key moments right in big games, which has probably cost us the opportunity to be in complete control of where we are. We're not. But having said that, we're treating the game as a massive game in its own right. It's a bit like a quarter-final for us. That's all we can do is go out and perform to our best, and we want to finish the season with a big performance as well, as much as anything else for our supporters who have been great all year, but also for ourselves, because for me this season has been a bit of an awakening for a lot of the players who are coming through the system for us, because I think they're starting to realise that they're able to compete at the top end. We haven't been good enough really this year to do that, because we haven't closed off key games, but I think we've done more than enough to suggest that if they continue their progression and with a little bit more experience, we will start to win more of it.
Because obviously you started so well and we were flying high for so long. What are the key moments where you think it may have slipped away a little bit?
Well, obviously it was after the Christmas period and into the new year where we lost a little bit of consistency. There's been key matches, and key moments in matches that have slipped away from us. I generally think our performances have been good. The two Ulster games probably have cost us as much as there are other games that we can reflect on. Even the Munster game at home, I felt that that was a game that we should have won.
As you said, that the progression though must enhance the belief that the team have at the end of the season and for next season, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that's the key for me, is that I think we progressed from last year. I think we've performed well this year, and we've performed well enough for the boys to start to believe in themselves now, and they can beat the Ulsters away from home. They can beat Munster. They are capable of doing it. They are capable of beating Leinsters, and that's a big part of the game. You've got to believe that you stick in games, and in tight games you can come through because you're good enough. And as I say, I think it's a little bit of an awakening for a lot of these boys. They actually think for the first time probably, maybe we are good enough.
Well, that's handy then if you're facing the Blues in the last match. It's a big sort of derby match, isn't it?
Yeah, it's derby matches normally take care of themselves anyway because of what's at stake. This is a big game without anything regarding the playoffs riding on it, but we have got that, so it's all the more exciting.
Is it hard focusing the players on the result and not worrying about what's happening elsewhere with regard to the playoffs?
No, not at all. The players will be 100% focused. As I said, we were disappointed with our overall performance against Munster. A lot of that was down to poor individual performances. A lot of boys put that right when we played Glasgow, and now we've got a chance to put that right at home in front of our home supporters.
Yeah, finally fitting, and obviously, it could be Regan's last game. It might not be, but it's kind of a nice way for him to bow to the club, I guess.
Yes, it'll be Regan's last home game, certainly, and it'll be a big occasion for him and for the players that have played with him, and also for the supporters, because he, no doubt it's been said 100 times already, but he's been a great Scarlet, epitomises everything that we're trying to do in terms of the style of rugby, and he's left a legacy.
Do you think this Friday there is, in a way, less pressure on you, so you can go out more, playing more expansive? Do you think there's less pressure on the players?
I don't think we've hidden from playing at all year, to be honest. And we went up to Glasgow. That was a massively pressurised game for us. Yet ultimately we played a lot of good rugby. So that's something that doesn't really cross my mind. Nor do I want it to cross the players' mind. I want them to go out there, play the style of rugby that we want to play. But we just have to be a lot more clinical than we've been. The Blues are still very much in the driving seat. They've they realise that they have to win to qualify, and if they win, they will qualify. There's no guarantee that if we win, we'll qualify. But as I say, it's a big local derby game. We just want to win the game and finish on high.
You mentioned about Regan leaving a legacy. You see another centre coming through now with Scott Williams, who stood out in Glasgow. Do you see someone like him now coming through similarly to how John has done in the centre?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think we're very blessed in that position at the moment, and then we have the dependable and competitive edge of someone like Gareth Moore who's come through. So I think we've got a good balance in the centres coming through. Obviously disappointing to lose Regan, but there's no doubt that in the time that Regan's been working here with these players, they've learned a lot from him, and we're not going to change much in terms of the style of rugby that we look to play. But we have got a lot of ability in that area.
Are there any team news you can give us? Any injuries with
John?
John isn't going to be fit.
Right.
Josh isn't going to be fit. Outside of that, I think Aaron still is not quite 100%. Although John and Aaron and Josh would possibly be available for anything that happens after this weekend.
Aaron has showed out, I think.
Yeah, and we were a bit concerned at first, but it's not serious.
What about the Blues, Nigel? Obviously, it looked as if the playoff was there for them to take in. They seem to have fallen off a little bit. As I mentioned, pressure. Is there pressure on the Blues this weekend?
Well, they'll certainly feel that they've lost an opportunity recently. Well, we've lost an opportunity maybe a couple of weeks before that. So they'll be frustrated, no doubt about that. But they'll still realise that they've got a great opportunity to come down here, and if they perform, they can get a result. They'll probably go through. So yes, we are frustrated because we feel we should be more in control of where we are. We're not, and that's all we can do is win. But we want to win as much, if not more, than them.
In terms of the game in Cardiff, what can you learn from that game and how you tackle the Blues, as it were?
Well, there's quite a lot. I don't want to go into too much detail.
You kept their big ball carriers quiet there, didn't you?
Yeah, I think it's obvious that they've got some key players, like most teams have. And if you can actually look to target them and keep them quiet, it obviously affects how sides are able to play, but that's easier said than done. I think they've got a lot of individuals who look to become personal, they're very physical. And that's one challenge that we've got to front up to, and from my point of view that's a given. But from my point of view, like most of the season, it's been more about us, and the key thing for me is our accuracy. And I think it was summed up in the Glasgow game, where the first 15 minutes of that game, we just didn't take control of it. We looked at 6s and 7s, and that was all because of the fact that we spilled ball, we turned over ball, we couldn't go through the phases. And if you compare that to the rest of the game, the difference is obvious, and that's what we have to nail.
Realistically, what do you think the chances are of results going your way?
Well, I've been to Aroni, and it's not an easy place to go to. The one thing they have got is a big, solid pack, and it's something that the Ospreys pride themselves, so they'll be challenged there, that's for sure. And it is a pressure game for them. It's not an easy place to go at all. But the key thing for us is just focus on our own performance and to try and get a result here. And that's as much as we can do. It's a big ask for us against a Blues team full of international rugby players, and they'll be very bitter after their loss to the Dragons. So they'll be very focused on getting a result. But we look forward to the challenge.
You mentioned a few weeks ago, Nigel, yesterday, what he's brought to the team. Obviously, he's named in the Magnus Dream Team this week. He just had another great season.
He's had a superb season this year. We've had a lot of problems in our front row, injury-wise, and Justin has been a cornerstone in that area for us. And he's helped bring through, a couple of players on the tight head as well, who have, in fairness, stepped up to the mark. Players that we didn't have at the start of the season who have come through for us, like Pete Edwards, like Simon Gardner. It just gives us that much more strength and depth. And when you see now that we've got other players returning, like Rhys Thomas. We've got Deacon, who's here next year as well, and Phil John. It's an area that we're very strong at, and Justin is certainly setting the standard for all of those guys to follow, and he's been superb for us. And I think it's sometimes these awards are merited, and sometimes they're not, but that's certainly one that I believe is fully deserved.